you're not one of the intent, if you're not one of the intended recipients, you are hereby notified that any dissemination, distribution, or sharing of this information is strictly prohibited. Our training session today is being recorded. Today's presentation will be available to you on ginniemay.gov. Please check ginniemay.gov maybe on Monday or Tuesday of next week for the recording and the presentation. Today's training is also a part of a webinar series that we're offering on various topics. We're always collecting feedback, be it suggestions, requests, or etc. So you're more than welcome to submit any feedback from today's session or any of our sessions, or just if you have a random feedback statement you would like to submit to us, you can do so at cxg@hud.gov. I want to introduce our presenter, well, the first presenter today from the Bank of New York Mellon. We have Wade Gale. And if we don't have any questions and no one else has any other announcements, Gail, we're ready.
Thank you, Yolanda. Good afternoon, everybody. Wade Gale here, BNY Mellon. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Thursday, and we're all looking forward to the weekend. Okay, so my part is going to be on pooling. I'm going to try, I just to have a nice little conversation with you. It's nothing that we have to going to give you a test on. Just want to give you some information while you're setting up your pools or doing your final search, just some information to go by, so you'll put that in your, as part of your process, so it will go well when you're actually going through your workflow. So we're gonna just talk a little bit about master agreements, something on initial, final certification and recertification, document custodian, and we'll just have some miscellaneous item just to mention as part of our conversation. And the other piece, then we'll go into the reporting timeline, and they'll go through what they will cover in their session. So next slide, please. Key pooling dates. Next slide. Yes, I decided to start out with master agreements. It's always a pain point at the start of the year for the users or for the issuers, I would say. And I just wanted to introduce that as the first part. You know, as a if you're a new issuer, you have to make sure you get your master agreement. Every year, those master agreements are renewed. So Ginnie Mae set a standard time, a standard date and time for those to go through. So we just want to share that with you. Master agreements renewal always start on October 1st. October 1st, and it goes through December 31st. And I'm here to tell you, we give you, if we say October 1st and you have all your information in for your next year renewal, do it as soon as possible. And speaking from experience, don't wait until December 27th. What happens during that time? People are away. The authorized signers who need to get the document together, submit, because you have to use your RSA token and all of that to submit. Make sure those people are around. That's why we always encourage, try and do your master agreements as soon as possible. As soon as the renewal period opens, get it done, get it off your list, cross it off, put it away, done for 2023. So I know it's kind of early now. We are now in almost the end of February, but we're making sure that's on your radar starting October 1st. Because again, if you don't have your master agreements ready for the coming year, it's going to affect your doing pools. It's going to affect you requesting commitment, and it's also going to affect you on doing one of the functions in RFS. You don't want that to happen. So it's also going to affect you requesting your token for your authorized signers. So those things, get those master agreements in on time. So we have here, Ginnie Mae requires that the recertification of master agreement annually between October 1 and December 31st. Start on October 1, forget about that December 31st. Don't send it in during that time. That's chaos. A lot of people are trying to do it, so get it done as soon as possible. It's important to start recertification process as early as October 1 to reduce the year-end spike in volume. And I know what that means. Everybody is calling to get their stuff in, get it done early. If an issuer does not complete their recertification within the renewal period, they will not be eligible to issue Ginnie Mae pools and will have to repeat the initial submission process. Yes, just want to mention that. If you did not do your master agreements renewal for that year, you come January 1st, Ginnie Mae does not allow you to just do a renewal again. You have to end up doing all the initial documents all over again. And who knows, because of you missing the deadline, you don't know if Ginnie Mae is gonna even put some penalty on that. So you don't want to get in Ginnie Mae's doghouse in terms of any issues there. So get it done as soon as possible. October 1, it starts, and it usually ends on December 31st. You want to make sure starting the new year, you have all your master agreements ready so you can do your new pools. You can request your commitment. You can request your tokens for your authorized signer, and you'll be able to perform your function in RFS. Next slide, please. Okay, now we have got all our master agreements together. We are now getting ready to do our new pools. We want to share some dates with you, time with you, I should say, that might work for you in your office. As part of our process at BNY Mellon, the pool process agent for Ginnie Mae, we have something that we call sweep. We sweep the network twice a day for certified pools. So in a way, we sweep the network at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then at 9 p.m. And we just want to show you or mention some of the advantage in sweeping the network early. If we sweep the network at 2 p.m., that will be considered a one-day processing, and you may deliver for settlement the next business day. What that means, if the pool is, if for instance, perfect example now, the network is just swept with all the pools that are marked certified pools, those pools are processed at 4 p.m. today, and they can be issued tomorrow by the Fed. But it all depends on what your settlement date is. If your settlement date said the 25th, then the Fed will make those deliveries. But if it says the 28th, we're gonna wait until that day. But we have one day, that's our obligation to Ginnie Mae. Once those pool comes in at 2 p.m., we're supposed to get them out on time. Listen, and there could be some exception because at that time you find out that, darn, I have to do something, I need to make a change. We recommend, because that's when it comes to deleting or recalling, some people might know that recalling if you're using the SFPDM application, we want to make sure you contact the Ginnie Mae customer support group. Give us a call or tell us that you have a pool you have an exception on the pool and you need to make some changes before we actually release it to the Fed. We can do that. For our records, we'll just say, can you send us an email with that request? And we'll use that email because we have to make sure we look for that pool, make sure it's not in our file, ready for the Fed at 4 o'clock, take it out, and then go ahead and delete it from 2 places. We have to delete it from the Ginnie Mae's system, and also we have to get it off of GinnieNet, so that allows you to go in and resubmit that pool again. So on that day, if you submit a pool for 2 p.m. and you realize you need to make a change, you have up until 4 p.m. to make that change. But I'll suggest don't send us an email and don't call us at 4 p.m. because it might be a little bit too late. Call us before then so we can hold off and take that pool out of our daily process. And then we'll allow you we'll delete it and send it off to you. That's sweep in the 2 p.m. sweep. Now we have our 9 p.m. sweep. That's anything that's been certified after 2 p.m. We again go up to the network and download that information. Anything that's marked certified. Now those pools will be available the next day. So that will consider a 2-day processing and may deliver it for settlement in 2 business days. So if your settlement date is going to be on the 28th, which is the last settlement date for February, those pools will get delivered. If you have March issue pools on there, then we won't settle those until March 1st. But again, you found out that you submitted a pool and it was certified, but you're looking through your documentation and said, darn, I did not want this loan in the pool today or this month because there were still some issues. You as an issuer has the ability to go in GennyNet and delete that pool before 12 noon Eastern Standard Time without even calling us. So that pool comes in overnight. You have up until 12 noon that day to the next day to go in and delete that pool. Now, if you miss that 12 noon cutoff, then what? We're gonna ask you have to call us again. You'll have to call us at that 833 number, get in touch with us and say, I have a pool, I need this pool deleted. We will have to look for that pool and stop it the way whatever we do behind the scenes and ask you to send an email and we will make the deletion for you. But if you do the deletion before 12 noon, it's all on your own. After 12 noon, you'd have to get in touch with us again and we'll have to delete it. But again, try and do it before 4 p.m. Sometimes we have had people call at 4:05, too late. The pool is in our hands, that in our eyes, that pool is already released to the Fed and we at BNY Mellon cannot make any changes at that time. That's when we will say, you might need to reach out to your account executive for the next steps. So keep those times in place. 12 noon, if that pool is swept the night in the 9 o'clock sweep and you need a pool deleted, you have the ability to delete it up to 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. After that, it becomes our responsibility, but you'll have to send us the request to have the pool deleted before 4 p.m. Okay, thank you. Next slide. So we talk about initial certification and submitting those. Now we just want to mention, we just want to give you some dates for just final certs. You might know this already because of reading the Ginnie Mae guide, but we just want to give it to you. For final certs, once a new pool is issued, the issuer is required to perform a final certification, which must be completed no later than 12 months after the issue date of the related securities. Of course, so if you issue a pool, you have 12 months to make sure you have all the proper documentation in before that, so that pool can be finalized. 12 months to do that for final certification. Recertification. If there's an issuer portfolio transfer or document custodian transfer, the issuer of record is required to submit a recertification for all affected pools 12 months from the effective transfer date to Ginnie Mae. All recertification on a pool level are to be submitted via GennyNet. So again, for recertification, if it's a document custodian transfer or it's a issuer portfolio transfer, you have that 12 months to make sure you get all your T's crossed, all your I's dot, and you do that within 12 months. So those are dates we just want to pass out to you. So if you're a new issuer, you want to put these maybe in your calendar or somewhere in your database so you'll remember these. Or again, from reading the Ginnie Mae MBS guide, you'll see all these dates make reference in there also. Next slide. Document custodian requests. I just thought I would just again bring this up and you'll see some of the dates that I mentioned on the previous screen is actually mentioned here too, because I wanted to bring the document custodian transfer request because it's a hot item right now in our process in terms of the hotline, people calling in for document custodian transfers. An issuer will select the appropriate option to execute a complete or partial transfer request on the pool loan package for Ginnie Mae portfolio from an old custodian to a new custodian. A pool list must be attached with the request and only the pools identified will be transferred to the new document custodian. All existing document custodian must be identified for this request for an attached pool list of each existing document custodian. We did a webinar last November on document custodian transfers. So that's why I just bring this in again and just let's refresh again about the dates. Recertification for all transfer pool are due 12 months from the effective date of transfer. That is basically what I said on the other screen, but I just wanted to bring it in another thing. And the same thing with the complete partial document custodian merger. An issuer will select the appropriate option to execute a complete or partial merger related transfer of pools or loan package of its Ginnie Mae portfolio with a transfer is within the same document custodian corporation. So that's a merger. The document custodian ID will be changed. Of course, a pool list will be done, and all existing document must be identified for this request with an attached pool list for each existing document custodian. What that is saying, just like when you set up the pool, if you have more than one document custodian per Ginnie Mae, you have to list the pools that you have with those other custodian when you're doing either a document custodian transfer or a document custodian merger. Ginnie Mae does not require a recertification of the reassigned transfer pools for a merger if the certification was completed prior to the merger. So those are, you just want to keep that in mind. You have that 12 months to do the recertification for the document custodian transfer, but there's no recertification if it's done, if it's a merger. So you just want to keep that in mind. And one thing I just also want to mention, if you're setting up the pools in GennyNet to do a document custodian transfer, we usually, when you're putting that effective date of transfer as a business day, you want to make sure you put in at least 3 business days past the current date to actually make it effective. You cannot go into GennyNet and set up a document custodian transfer and put in today's date. It's not gonna take. So we usually recommend at least 3 business day and not more than 6 months past the current date. So that's why I wanted that there too, because the document custodian transfer right now is a hot topic. So if you're going in to set it up manually, make sure you are putting it 3 days past the current date. That's so you'll get your of course your transfer date in that way. And that would also give your custodian some time to be prepping for that, because they should be getting the documentation by then. And so they can, before they, in those 3 days, they will prep and then have the documents, do their validation and do the certification in GennyNet. Next slide, please. Okay, just want to mention some more dates that came to mind while we were setting this up. You might not be doing PTS, but maybe in the future that is something you might do. So just want to mention the blackout dates for PTS. The blackout dates for PTS are the first 5 business days of the month. That's when the RESPA date, the 15th of the month, and other dates are dependent on what the issuer enter in the PTS system. And of course, RESPA means the Real Estate Settlement Procedure Act. That's what RESPA means. Transfer fees are drafted from the issuer for single family pools during that time. So this might not concern you, but I just thought I will just put this out there if you end up doing anything to do with PTS. And we have another, I'd ask for part of the group in our office to go through and tell me about something, your letter of credit, because that usually comes up when you're doing research or final certs and you have missed some of those dates. Letter of credit information is posted on the 6th business day of the month, even though the letter do not come out until the 2020 calendar day or the next business day. Operations, that means it's us, BNY Mellon, sends out follow-up emails first and second week of the month, based on an update received on the 4th business day to the end of the month for that month prior. Example, on February 23rd, 2022, we receive an update of the progress made by the issuer or the LOC letter sent out in December. Letters come out monthly. Issuers have a month to respond. If no response, again, BNY Mellon will follow up in that 2nd month. Example, December letter, issuers have until January 20th to respond. If no response by January 26th, BNY Mellon will follow up on December letter come February. So you have some leeway, but we are gonna, in your I'm not going to say the word. We're going to be on your back to make sure you meet those dates. And one more thing to do with settlements and new pool processing. And since I manage the Fed settlement area, this always comes as something to us. You know, you have those delivery instructions that you have to put in on the 11705, so the Fed will know who to deliver the securities to. A lot of times people have the wrong information. And I don't know if you're aware of it. When that information goes to the Fed, it comes back to us saying, DK, don't know. And we have to get in touch with you. Sometimes the timeline is tight because the Fed usually closes at 2:30 in the afternoon. So I just thought I would put something here. If you need to submit a correction to a DK item, this correction needs to be done before 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you get a call from one of the rep on the Fed desk, say this security was DK'd because of the incorrect delivery instructions, try and get it done before 2:30, because after that, we won't be able to deliver it for that day. If correction is received after 2:30 Eastern Standard Time, BNY will make the delivery the next morning. And who knows, because we're making a delivery the next morning, that could be some penalty on your end because you had promised the investor to deliver the night before. So look out for those, make sure your delivery instructions are correct. If you're not too sure on how those delivery instructions are done, don't hesitate to give us a call. Sometimes we can tell you. The major thing is the slash. There's a slash that has to go through the process. And if you miss that slash at appropriate area, it will throw off your delivery instruction. So just want to mention that. You might have heard you got a DK from the Fed. You have to make a change, send us the change. If you get it before 2:30, we can deliver it. If it comes in after 2:30, we're going to make sure that delivery is done the next morning as by 8, but between 8 and 8:30. Next slide. Okay, I did put this here in the calendar because most issuers, we want to make sure you know that the calendar is out there. Calendar is out there for some important dates for reporting, some important dates for pooling. So especially if you're doing single family, multifamily pools, multiple pools, you want to make sure you look at the date for the cutoff. The cutoff date is very important because you cannot submit multiple pools to the end of the month. There's a cutoff 6 days before the end of the month. Those pools that's the last day you can submit those. So check the calendar that's out there on the Ginnie Mae website and use it to your ability. If you need certain dates, circle them so that they will stick as part of your workflow during the course of the day. Because if you miss a settlement date, who knows, you might miss that maybe some coins in your company's pocket is going away because certain things were not delivered. So use these dates. If you're not familiar, or if you don't know how to use them and you need more explanation, again, don't hesitate to call us and we can walk you through the dates that are pertaining to pooling. Okay, but they're out there and the March is ready to go. So if you're gonna do your pools, just plan around that. Next slide, please.
Awesome. If there are any pooling questions, you're more than welcome to ask them at this time. If you dialed in from a computer, please click the raise hand at the top of your window to indicate that you do have a question. Make sure to unmute yourself once the host allows you in. If you dialed in from a phone, press *9 to raise your hand to indicate you have a question. The host will read the last 4 digits of your phone number and then press *6 to unmute before speaking. And lastly, if you're typing in a question, just click into the Q&A section at the top of the webinar and type in your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, Wade. We do have a couple questions that I wanted to get a chance to ask for a couple of users who typed in the chat. The first question is from Abby Abraham. Is there a process to get an extension for LLC letter of credit?
Abby, I see your question, and I'm sure there is. Can I, well, I can try and get an answer for you and get that information to you. I'm sure there is something in the guide on how to do the LLC, but I can try and find out for you or check with the team on back at BNY Mellon who handles this, and then I can get that information to you if that's okay. Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, Wade, and I do see one last question so far from Joe Frazier. Suppose we issue a custom pool one day, it gets certified and you sweep it. Then suppose 2 days later, we the issuer does not sell the pool. Can we ask Ginnie Mae / Bank of New York Mellon to collapse the pool effectively, deleting the pool so that we can hold onto the whole loans? We might build a custom pool and try to sell it. But if it doesn't sell, can we collapse the pool and put the loans until a multi-pool instead?
Yes. Well, once the pool is released, we have that word in what we use at a 4 o'clock session. Once the pool is released by BNY Mellon, that pool is out of our hand. In our world, that pool is like release. So most of the time when you call and say, you did a custom pool and should have been a multiple pool, we usually say the pool has been released, it's off to the Fed, so you have to speak to your account executive at Ginnie Mae. They need to make the decision. You need to tell them what the issue is, and from those they'll say, okay, we'll go to the collapse area. Because remember, if you're a lot of times if you're doing collapse in a M pool, you're not the only M pool in that loan package. So that could be, and that could impact the other pools. So, but once the pool is released by us, it's now becomes a Ginnie Mae issue. So Ginnie Mae would have to make that decision for you on what's the best possible way to go forward with that pool. So BNY Mellon would not be able, we'll send you to your account executive for the next steps.
All righty, Wade. Another question that came in from Carter Hoffman. Is there a support email we can contact for assistance with pool recertifications?
Yes, Carter. Well, we have the email address here. It's 800-466-2435. And when you choose option 1, then you have 6 options to choose. And from there, you can do the option 1 or option 6, and we can help you there. Yes. So you call that number and we can help you with that. Okay, thank you.
All righty, Wade. Another question from Christopher King. If we have a question regarding pooling or the guide and don't get a response from our Ginnie Mae representative, is there a generic phone number or email at Ginnie Mae to which we can send the question?
You can always contact CXG.
Anybody at Ginnie Mae can take that one?
CXG@HUD.gov.
CXG@HUD.gov. Chris, you heard that? If not, give me a call. If it's the same Chris King that I know all along, so we can work on that. Okay, thank you, everybody. Is there any more questions? Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time, and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Thanks. Yolanda? Oh, and with that, I think it's me. I think I should introduce them. Well, I hope you enjoyed the session. Now you're going to have more fun than what you just had for the reporting section. So I'm going to introduce Christy and how could I forget these ladies' name?
Nancy.
Of course. Christy and Nancy, it's all yours. I'm sorry about that, Nancy.
I'll remember that way. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Wade. Hi, my name is Christy Christensen, and I am part of the Ginnie Mae Issuer Support Team. We will be reviewing key reporting dates in RFS. Next slide, please. For each pull and loan package, issuers must submit 100% of their monthly pull and loan data by close of business, which is 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the second business day. Here we have a snapshot of important dates. RFS opens on the 25th of the month for reporting. The deadline for reporting all pull and loan data in RFS is 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the second business day. The pull and loan, error, and critical exceptions should be worked on the third and fourth business days, with the deadline being 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the fourth business day. The remaining high, medium, and low exceptions and any E-level error, various, or sensitive exceptions should be addressed between the 5th and 10th business days, with the deadline being 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the 10th business day. Next slide, please. Regarding the second business day, again, issuers must submit 100% of their monthly pull and loan data by 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the second business day. Should less than 100% of the data be reported by the issuer, a missing data report is provided to Ginnie Mae. Data not reported as required may result in a monetary penalty from Ginnie Mae. Missing pull and loan data is reported to Ginnie Mae daily until all of the data has been reported. The best way to determine if 100% of the pull and loan data has been reported is to review the RFS summary screen and ensure the number of expected pull and loans agree to the number of reported pulls and loans. An issuer should know how many active pulls and loans should be reported to Ginnie Mae. You may also download your exception feedback and review for RFS 111 missing pull exceptions and RFS 204 missing loan exceptions. Please note that a pull must be reported for RFS to generate an RFS 204 missing loan exception. Next slide, please. Now we will review monthly dates for remittance funding bank accounts. For multifamily, prepayment penalties must be reported by 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the fourth business day. However, they may be reported as early as the first business day. For single family, HUD 11714 remittance advice for Ginnie Mae 1 certificated security should be reported no later than 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the 8th business day. Only a limited number of issuers actually report Ginnie Mae 1 11714 information. For both multifamily and single family, the monthly reporting certification opens on the 10th business day. The deadline for certification is 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the 14th business day. As Wade mentioned, RSA tokens are required for the monthly certification. A best practice is to have multiple backups with RSA tokens for this process. For single family only, on the 15th calendar day, Ginnie Mae 1 certificated security payments by check must be received by the security holder along with the remittance advice. For both multifamily and single family, Ginnie Mae 1 P&I remittance is drafted on the 15th calendar day. For single family, Ginnie Mae 2 P&I remittance is drafted on the 19th and/or 20th calendar day. Please see Chapter 15 of the MBS Guide if the calendar days are not business days. Next slide, please. Every item on this slide is part of compliance field review. Please ensure the guidelines are followed each month. Monthly reconciliation requirements include, but are not limited to the following. P&I custodial accounts must be reconciled within 30 days of previous month's cutoff date. Also, the T&I custodial accounts must be reconciled within 30 days of the previous month's cutoff date. Additional bank accounts include, but are not limited to, payment clearing, disbursement accounts, separate escrow custodial accounts for FHA 203K funds, separate escrow accounts for buy-down funds, and separate escrow accounts for any other funds per FHA, VA, RD, also known as USDA, or PIH requirements. Test of expected cash is required on every pool each month. Total of all pool cash shortages must be funded by the issuer monthly and may not net pools that have cash overages with pools that have cash shortages. Also, the test of expected cash calculation is only accurate when the pool to security is 0. The pool to security recon is required on every pool and is performed by the issuer monthly or your servicing system. If your pool is over collateralized, the adjusted pool principal balance is larger than the security balance, then you need to recover principal. Under collateralized means the adjusted pool principal balance is less than the security balance, and the principal must be passed through to the security holders. There is a $1 per loan per pool tolerance with a maximum of $50 per pool. For multifamily pools, each project is different. Therefore, if you have passed through too much principal and have a pool to security difference, please contact your Ginnie Mae multifamily account executive for guidance. Just to reiterate, the bank recons must be completed within 30 days of your cutoff, not necessarily month end. Next slide, please. And I will now turn it over to Nancy.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. This is Nancy Strickland. I'm also with the issuer support team. The last monthly requirement that we have is loan matching and loan suspense. RFS runs an automated process monthly to verify pooled loans have the request. It is the agency insurance or guarantee. RFS electronically matches issuer reported loan data to the data in the agency file. All non-matches should be researched and resolved. The next item we have is loan suspense. Once a loan has been matched, should there be any changes to previously matched data, those changes are suspended. Issuers are notified in e-notification on the 10th business day that they have a loan matching suspense items. Issuers need to review the data and provide a response no later than the second to the last business day of the month. We also have various loan suspense. RFS maintains data that was reported at origination or at pool issuance or the most recent reported data by the issuer. Any issuers are notified in e-notification on the 7th business day that they have various suspense items. You follow the instructions stated in the e-notification, and responses are due back no later than the 20th calendar day of the month. Excuse me. At the very bottom of the slide, got a little insert down here that gives you some information for the presentation and also the recording of a webinar we did on matching and suspense back in November of 2021. If y'all have not reviewed this or were not part of the presentation, please go in and look at the information here. It's a lot of great information on loan matching and suspense. Gail Smith presented it and did an excellent job. Next screen. So what we have here is a chronological order of all monthly requirements. We had grouped items that we thought were similar onto the screens. So we wanted to show the chronological order going down. I believe it's this slide and the next slide. Go ahead. Okay, so this will, so that's all the monthly requirements. Next slide, please. For quarterly requirements, custodial account verification submission is due between the 6th and the 15th business day of March, June, September, and December. Not every custodial account is required to submit the verification. Additional information can be found in Chapter 16 of the MBS Guide. Quarterly, we have widely held fixed investment trust with it. Information due by the 10th calendar day of January, April, July, and October. Any corrections are due by the 15th calendar day of the month. The issuer determines if they are required to report with it data. Appendix 6-18 provides additional information along with the file layout. And for single family only, we have Soldier Civil Relief Act requests for reimbursement, which are due by the 10th calendar day of February, May, August, and November. Chapter 34 of the MBS Guide has additional information on requesting loan eligibility and also the loan reimbursement. And annually, issuers have to report annual financial statements. They are due 90 days after the issuer's fiscal year end close. Appendix 6-20 is the electronic submission of the issuer's annual audited statement. It provides all the naming convention and the documents required and tells you how to upload the file into RFS. And we are reiterating again that master agreements are due between October 1st and December 31st. As Wade mentioned, please start early. You can start as early as October 1st. Don't wait till the end of the year and lose your ability to issue pools. Next slide. What we have here is the single family and multifamily workflow. This is just a snippet of the information. We have updated these workflows and they have been placed on Ginnie Mae's website. We have a link for both of them, for single family and multifamily. If you've been to any of the prior issuer trainings, we pass these out. They are an excellent source of information, and a lot of issuers are using these workflow documents to ensure that they do not miss any monthly deadlines. Okay, next. Okay, we're ready if anybody has any questions they would like to ask.
Again, remember, if you dialed in from a computer, raise your hand at the bottom of the window to indicate you have a question. And make sure you unmute yourself once the host allows it. And if you dialed in from a phone, press *9 to raise your hand and indicate you have a question. The host will see the last 4 digits of your phone number and press *6 to unmute. You remember to press *6 to unmute before speaking. And if you're typing your question in, just click the Q&A section of the webinar and then proceed to type in your question.
Okay, I do see that we have one question here. Oh, and it looks like Colin is answering that, if the training will be saved somewhere as a PDF. Yolanda, would you like to answer that question?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yes, the presentation will be posted to the Ginnie Mae website in the near future. However, if you require the presentation sooner, you're more than welcome to put your email address in the chat, and someone will forward it to you.
Okay, and then I do see a question in chat from,
No, Bud posted
Yep.
a statement that the monthly cert is just confirming the accuracy of previously reported data.
Yep.
And Bud is an account executive at Ginnie Mae. And what he's saying is once you're doing your monthly certification, you're stating that all the data that you reported in RFS is true and accurate.
yes, absolutely. Okay. And we've got a question from Bethany. Under the loan matching, when it updates on the day before the 24th, does that only show the matching results? Or can you also re-download the insurance matching download, which shows the loan level differences, and it will show you which loans are not still matching?
Gail, are you able?
Gail?
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I was on mute. So we do run a third and final match around the 25th calendar day, depending on when it falls in the month. So yes, please pull your downloads again after the 25th and you can see what's remaining. Hopefully that answered your question.
Thank you, Gail. So our next question is, hi all, are most exceptions generated live in RFS? So that would actually be yes. If you are out there in a loan level screen and you are manually updating something and you click the save button, the exceptions will appear at the top of the screen. And then if you are uploading a file after the file is processed, you will get a list of all the pool and loan exceptions as long as 90% of your data has been processed in RFS. And oh, Natalie asked a question, who can we reach out to if we have any matching and suspense questions? And Gail had put in the chat that is the Ginnie Mae help@deloitte.com email address. Thank you, Gail. Okay. Do we have any other questions from anyone? And we still do have Wade on if anyone has any polling questions.
Wade, was there anything else you would like to say that maybe you didn't say in the presentation earlier that you would like the issuers to know, or anything that crossed your mind? Any final messages to the issuers?
No, James, just that I'm looking for a vacation soon. No, 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 I just want to make point again on the master agreement. And Nancy also said it in her presentation. It's very important to actually, for the renewals, start early so you don't get caught up in the madness in late December, so you can get that stuff done. And also, if you realize a pool is issued, and you're gonna call us at BNY Mellon to rectify that, our next step will be to actually send you off to your account executive, so that can be a decision between you and Ginnie Mae. What's the best way to handle that pool that you want to make changes to that has already been issued. So those are just two other things I just wanted to mention. Thank you, James.
You're welcome. While we're on that topic of pooling, I do see another question that came in from Sylvie. It says, hi, Wade, can you please provide details on how Ginnie Mae determines issuance of a 30-year versus a 15-year? In addition, is there any report that we can reconcile prior to receiving the pool to ensure what is expected?
Hi, Sylvie. I got an email from you today too on this, so I have to also respond to this. What happens in Ginnie Net? The loan is amortized and it processed as a 30-year loan. But the way we can determine if it's 15 years, you take the maturity date, the maturity date of that pool and the issue date and do the subtraction. And then that pool is going to be a 15-year on Ginnie Mae's on the MIP. So you want to make sure you subtract the maturity date from the issue date, and then you'll get what the maturity date of that pool is going to be. That's why some of the times when on the Ginnie Net system you do the process, it's a 30-year loan, it's a 30-year pool. But when it comes on to go fit into the MIP, because of the remaining years in those 30-year loans, it's now in anything 16 and lower is going to be put into a 15-year. And Sylvie, we can talk a little bit more on this because I just need to talk to you in person or speak to you via email on this matter. But I did get your email, and that's one of the things on my agenda to respond to today. You're welcome.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Or any additional
Yes.
thing that,
More
Sylvia,
just popped up.
yeah, we do have one more slide that had
okay.
our phone number.
Sure.
Wade, I think I do see another last minute polling question that just came in from Peggy Casper. Let me go ahead and ask it before we move on.
I see it, I can see it.
Okay.
Peggy, if this is a 26-year loan, that should definitely go in a 30-year in a 30-year pool. It should not, the option should not be 15 years at all. If you disagree with me, you can always reach out to me and we can try and discuss this and come to a better understanding on this. But the 26 years, that should definitely go into a 30. That should be a 30-year. That should be a 30-year MIP. Then we definitely need to talk. So that we're definitely talking. It should be the 30 or 15. So it's not going to go in a 26. There's no, so it has to go in a 30 or a 15. So it should be 30. If you're still not, if you don't agree with me, we can have another conversation over the phone that works for you. No problem. You can call the 800 number, the 833 number, and then you have them to, if they can get to Wade Gale, or I can give you my email address, wade.gale@bnymellon.com. And then we can have more conversation.
Thank you, Wade. And then here
Welcome.
on our last slide, we do have the Ginnie Mae Help hotline number or the help desk number. And for any of the RFS reporting, you would select option 2 and then listen to those prompts and select the appropriate one.
Thank you all again for attending today. Any additional questions you may have, You can submit those and any other feedback to chg@hud.gov. For all events hosted by Ginnie Mae, yes, we pay attention to all feedback that is offered, and we want to hear from you. Our hope is that this training was beneficial to you, and that you learned something that you didn't know, perhaps it served as a refresher of some sort. Our training session today was recorded, and in the near future, you'll be able to find the recording of today's presentation on ginniemay.gov. Thank you again for hanging out with us today, and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thank you again. Great job, Wade.
Thank you.
Nancy.